From the NIRSA Championship Studios in Tallahassee, Florida, I'm David Peters, and this is the road to the 2022 NIRSA National Soccer Championships. Coming up today's show, we'll divide 96 collegiate teams into pools to get ready for pool play at next week's NIRSA National Soccer Championships in Round Rock, Texas. It all starts with pool play on Thursday, November 17th, so we'll talk through those pools in women's and men's, along with our championship and open divisions, and we'll go down to Gainesville, where Marty Dempsey will be standing by with some special guests to talk about the tournament experience and analyze the tournament field. That's all coming up in today's show, the road to the NIRSA National Soccer Championships. But let's get started. We'll begin with the championship side and the women's division. And here we've got 24 teams. There are 8 total pools. In those pools, you'll see that we'll have 3 teams. The top 2 teams in each pool will advance to the championship playoffs to battle for the national title. And the third place team will move into a separate consolation bracket. So let's get started. Here we go in Pool A with Michigan State, Georgia Tech, and Colorado. The Spartans are having a great season up in Michigan, as Michigan State is 12-0-0 so far. They are a Region 3 co-champion this year. Georgia Tech is back to try again. They were here last year in the championship division, and Colorado is a regular too. They made the semifinals or the quarterfinals in 3 of the last 4 tournaments. In Pool B, it's Region 2 champion Virginia, along with Wisconsin and UConn. Virginia having a great season. They are 10-0-2. Wisconsin is back for a 6th straight tournament. They were in the championship quarterfinals in 3 of the last 4 tournaments. And UConn is an open finalist from just last year. In Pool C, we've got the Eagles from Boston College, joined by UC Davis and Ohio State. And there's an interesting grouping here because these teams have played each other before in some big games. Boston College was the national runner-up in 2019. UC Davis, the national runner-up in 2018. Who won the title both years? Ohio State. So perhaps some rivalry or at least some revenge. Something's happening, but we're going to match them up all in pool play for Pool C in our women's championship division. In Pool D, it starts with Penn State on the top line. They are the reigning national champion from last year and a Region 1 co-champ this season. They're joined by WashU of St. Louis and UC Santa Barbara. UC Santa Barbara was a championship winner before. They won it in 2016 and 2017 and made the semifinals last year. In Pool E, it begins with Cal Poly, joined by Texas and Florida State. Cal Poly was in the championship semifinals last year and has made the quarterfinals in 3 of their last 4 tournaments. Texas was a championship finalist back in 2017, and FSU is this year's runner-up out of Region 2. It's their first championship side appearance since 2016. In Pool F, Virginia Tech is joined by Cincinnati and the Aggies of Texas A&M. Va Tech has been in the open of the championship division for 11 years. They are regular at our NIRSA National Championships. Cincinnati, the Region 3 co-champ this year, it's their first appearance in the last decade. Texas A&M, also kind of irregular. They've been in 8 of the last 9 tournaments. Pool G begins with Minnesota, joined by Baylor and Michigan. And Minnesota this year is joining us again for the 5th straight trip to a tournament. It's their 3rd straight year on the championship side. Baylor is returning after appearance last year. And the Wolverines of Michigan have been here before. They've been in the quarterfinals in both 2017 and 2019. And finally, the last 3 teams on the women's championship side are in Pool H. The Ducks of Oregon, Colorado State, and Vanderbilt. Oregon has made plenty of appearances on the Open Division side. In fact, they won the Open Division Championship in 2017 and 2019. They're over on the championship side this year with a perfect record so far at 7-0-0. Colorado State is a regular. They've been in 12 straight tournaments and made the quarterfinals in 3 of their last 5 trips. And Vanderbilt making their first appearance in the last decade. So let's take a look at all those pools again here on the women's championship side. From Pool A to Pool H, the top seeds are on the top line of each pool, and the top 2 teams will advance out of pool play into the championship playoff brackets. We'll talk about how that bracket works a little bit later. The playoffs will begin on Friday at the tournament. The championship is on Saturday at 3 p.m., and you can catch all the coverage of the tournament on NIRSAplay.com or follow us on social media at NIRSAChamp. But now let's take a pause from pool play reveal and go down to Gainesville, where Marty Dempsey is standing by with some special guests. Marty?
Thanks, Dave, here from the Gainesville studios. My name is Marty Dempsey. Happy to be here for the NIRSA Championship Series Soccer National Championships, here with a very special guest, Mary Griswold. She is a center back and the current president of the Penn State Women's Soccer Club and our defending national champions. Welcome to the show, Mary.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So this year, you just heard it about your pool for this year as you are on your quest to repeat. You have Washington University of St. Louis, a relative newcomer, haven't been in the tournament since 2018. But then you have a school that you're familiar with in UC Santa Barbara, a semifinalist last year, former 2-time champions just in 2016 and 17. schools from California always present an issue for you. So what are you looking forward to out of this pool?
Yeah, definitely. Well, we always face amazing competition at the NIRSA Series. Like you said, the California teams are always strong and always give us a tough go. So we'll be really focused and have to mentally and physically prepare for what they're going to bring to the table, definitely.
Yeah, and not only them, but then you get into the Colorado schools. Colorado State, always really strong at the tournament. Can't forget about Ohio State, who has won 3 titles within the last 5 years. And then, of course, about a great competition up in the Northeast, Boston College and UConn coming into this tournament undefeated as well. So it will be a tough road. A lot of experienced teams.
Yes, definitely will be a tough road. But we've prepared. We've done it before, and we're hoping to get back there again.
Sure, absolutely. Mary, let's talk about some of the things that you do, not only on the field, but off the field as well as, of course, serving as a center back and, being an integral part of your team's game plan on the field, but you also serve in a leadership role as the new president this year. So stepping into that leadership, that officer role, what has that experience been like for you in leading this club?
It's definitely been a challenge, I'm not going to lie. Taking on such a big role and leading an organization as great as ours is definitely a challenge. However, I think that I've come at it with an open mindset and I've set goals for our team and really have tried to put us in the best position to achieve them. We've done so by winning regionals, and we're looking forward to hopefully getting back to that national championship. But off the field, I would say it's definitely difficult running an organization as a full-time student and being involved in a lot of other things. But it's definitely my first priority, and I wouldn't trade it for the world.
It's one of the greatest things really about this tournament here is just watching those leaders, whether they're on the field, because it is a lot to have to prepare just for the on-field competition, but then knowing that in the background that you're working on fundraising and service in your community and just leading a group of teammates and fellow students while you're a student yourself. It's a really impressive piece. So congratulations on, both your on and off the field accomplishments there. Speaking of preparing for the national championships, I know you're a tight group at Penn State, been kind of an abnormal situation. In fact, you all have not had a coach for many years. I know you've taken a lot of pride in having that leadership amongst the girls themselves. So talk to us about what your prep has looked like in order for your repeat performance here for nationals.
Definitely. Yeah. I think that's an important aspect to note. We are self-coached and self-run. So unlike many other teams, we don't have a paid coach that comes in. So we do it all ourselves, the exec board, myself, as well as 3 other members and a alum of our program up at Penn State. I think what makes us really different is we practice 5 times a week for an hour and a half each day. We're driven and committed to practicing as well as, staying as a team and as a family off the field. So whether that's on weekends, on Fridays, we're having a dip party night where we're making all different types of dip, all hanging out, or going even to watch like the varsity teams. We really try and do bonding activities to make sure that we are a tight-knit group and we all understand and respect each other and get along. And that is one of the most important things I think that our team does well is we are riding and dying for each other. I know that every girl on the team would give everything for me as well as I would do for them as well.
You've heard it, folks. A tight-knit group, successful on and off the field. Thanks so much, Mary. Before I let you go, I can't let you go without one thing. We are
Penn State.
You got it. Good luck this year at the national championships. Back to you, Dave. We'll hear a little bit more about the open division on the women's side coming right at you.
Thanks very much, Marty. We will stay with the women's side and this time go over to the open division where we have 24 more teams, but instead of having 3-team pools, it's 4 teams per pool. So 6 total pools. The top team only moves out of the pool into the open division playoff brackets, and we will have 2 more wild cards to make an 8-team tournament bracket on the open side. So here we go. Let's start with Pool A, and it begins with the Jayhawks of Kansas, along with Vermont, Arizona, and Grand Valley State. Kansas is a regular at the NIRSA National Championship. They've been in every tournament since 2012. Vermont is back after an Open Division quarterfinal appearance in 2019, and Grand Valley made the Open Division quarterfinals in 2017 and 2018. In Pool B, it's the Colorado School of Mines, Cal Berkeley, UMass, and Purdue. Cal was an Open Division quarterfinalist just last year and made the semis in 2019. Purdue made the semis last year. In Pool C, here on our Women's Open Division side, it's Colorado, the Black Squad, along with Notre Dame, Boise State, and UCF. And for Boise State, well, we welcome you. It's their first appearance in the NIRSA tournament in the last decade. In Pool D, UCLA, the Open Division champion from 2015, joins Kansas State, James Madison, who won the national title just last year, and Iowa State. In Pool E, it starts with Georgia Southern, along with Penn, Northern Colorado, and Arkansas. Georgia Southern made the quarterfinals in the Open Division in 2021. And the last pool, Pool F, includes Illinois, Miami of Florida, Missouri, and Cornell. Illinois is a regular. They've been in every tournament since 2010, and that's when they won the national title. Missouri was in the Open Division semifinals just last year. Let's look at those pools once again. As I mentioned, 4 teams in each. There are the 6. The champion from each of the pools will make the tournament along with 2 wild cards. The final for the Open Division occurs on Saturday afternoon at 1 p.m. Central. You can follow along and actually watch live coverage of our championships online at NIRSAplay.com and on social media at NIRSAChamp. Well, it's time to take another pause and head back down to Gainesville, where we'll talk about this side of the tournament bracket. Marty?
Thanks, Dave. We've heard it now. We have all 48 teams and their spots in the pool, but for both our championship and our open divisions of the women's soccer tournament this year. Glad to be joined by 2 of our analysts, our experts around the field. We've got Max Miller from Swarthmore College and Laura Shively from Duke University here to break down all of the action in the women's division. And first, Max and Laura, first of all, welcome to the show. And then secondly,
thanks for having us.
We have a lot of experience within the women's division. 46 of the 48 teams have been in the NIRSA Soccer Championships in the past. No more experience than you might find up in the Northeast in Region 1. So Max, I know you're up there. I want to talk to you first. Talk about, Penn State, Boston College, UConn, on the championship side, there is a ton of experience coming from the Northeast. What do you expect to see from them?
Absolutely. Thanks, Marty. Well, there's a really common theme amongst the teams in Region 1 on the women's side. No losses. Combined BC, Penn State, and UConn are 33-0-7 during this past season. That includes regional tournament play. The Eagles from BC entered the tournament as Region 1's top team. They've given up only 1 goal in 5 games to the regional tournament. But the champions from 2021 entered this tournament only giving up 3 goals all year. That's Penn State. 12 games, 3 goals. You do the math. But enough with my Region 1 bias. I want to turn it back over to you, Marty.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, Max. Certainly those teams up in the Northeast are going to be powerhouses there, but there's been really no favors done for some of those teams up there, as Boston College and Penn State both drew in their pools the only other champions that didn't come from Region 1 over the past 5 years. Of course, we're talking about former 3-time champion Ohio State. It's in the pool with Boston College, and UC Santa Barbara was back-to-back champs just a few years ago. They'll match up with Penn State during pool play. Switching gears to Laura, though, there are some great teams in other parts of the country as well. I know close to you within Virginia, that was one of the more prominent states for during the regional play. So talk to us about a couple of teams that you think will be real players in this championship bracket.
Sure. So while Region 1 has the history, I think Region 2 might be a rival for him this year. 4 of our 5 teams came into the regional tournament undefeated. So we're really looking strong, but specifically within Virginia, we had 3 teams that qualified for the regional tournament that had all within a game and a half of each other. So that's UVA, Virginia Tech, and then we'll discuss JMU a little bit later. But one to really keep an eye on is UVA. Their only mark on their record is a loss to Virginia Tech in the regular season, but they defeated quite a few of the qualifiers coming in. And then Virginia Tech, like I said, is the only one that has a mark against them. So really looking at those 2 teams, but don't sleep on Georgia Tech or Vanderbilt either. Like I said, they came into the regional tournament undefeated, and they made some strong runs in the regional tournament. So we're really excited to see them. A dark horse, I think right now, though, I will have to say, is Florida State from Region 2. They made it all the way to the championship, and their only loss this year was against the University of Florida. So we're really, really excited about all of the representation from Region 2 this year.
Florida State, they also have a tough road ahead of them. Semifinalists from 2021, Cal Poly in their pool, as well as Texas, who is a mainstay at this event. They have qualified 11 years in a row and were a runner-up back in 2017. But you mentioned Virginia, and one of, as strong as they were this year, they did take a loss to James Madison, which is our defending champions within the women's open division. They qualify again for the women's open. Folks, what are some of the teams that you think could unseat James Madison as champions of the open division this year?
I'll speak first from the teams that I'm aware of. I don't think that there's a team that will rival James Madison. They had a really strong regular season. The only mark I do say that's against them, they did opt out of the regional tournament, so they haven't had postseason play yet. But looking at all the teams that I'm familiar with, I think they've got a really strong shot. And the only thing, and I know Max will speak on this in a minute, is their goal differential. They typically won their games by 1 or 2 goals, but that also tells me that they have really strong defense. So I think James Madison has a really strong chance going into the open division.
Now, Laura, you're talking about really strong defense. I'm going to talk about Cornell on the open side, finishing 10-2-1 with 3.6 goals for over their entire season. Goal differential 32, 36 goals for, and 4 goals against. I mean, that just screams great defense, great goalkeeping, and I think they're going to make a strong push coming out of the women's open to take down James Madison there in Virginia. They have a tough group with Illinois, Miami, and Missouri, but Big Red's coming for you.
Well, we certainly have potentially some differing opinions here. James Madison, Laura likes them to repeat. Max thinks that, it's a possibility that we are going to have a new champion. There's a really good mix within the women's open division of some teams with some great experience. You look at the West Coast there, Cal Berkeley, they were a quarterfinalist among the open division this year. They're in Pool B. Watch out for them. And maybe it's going to be one of the newcomers, Boise State and Kansas State, 2 brand new teams to the field. So welcome to the NIRSA National Championships. All right. Well, that is it from the women's side. Let's hear from the men's side now. So we're going to send it back to Dave, and we'll be back with Max and Laura here in just a couple of minutes. Back to you, Dave.
All right, let's talk about our 48 men's teams. We'll start with the 24 that are in the national championship bracket, and that's again with the 8 pools, 3 teams per pool. The top 2 teams advance to the championship tournament that goes for that national title. The third place team moves into a separate consolation bracket. And it begins with our 2-time reigning national champion, BYU, heading off Pool A. In fact, they've won 3 of the last 4 titles. They also won back in 2017. Another great year. They are 10-0-1 headed into the national tournament. Texas A&M out of Region 4 joins us as a quarterfinalist from last year. And Rutgers, in its first appearance in the tournament, having a good season at 11-1-2. Pool B includes the A squad from Texas, the Gold squad from Colorado, and Wisconsin. Texas was last year's runner-up, beaten by BYU in the final. They're 8-0-2 this season and the top seed out of Region 4. And Colorado and Wisconsin have both been regulars. They are in their 5th straight years in the championship division bracket for the men. Pool C starts off with North Carolina, their 6th straight championship bracket appearance. They were semifinalists last year as well as in 2019. Delaware joins them, 12-0-3, a great season. They are Region 2 co-champion. And Weber State is back for the first time since 2015. That year they were semifinalists. In fact, Weber State, a former national champion, back in 2011. Pool D has Illinois, Southern Cal, and Colorado State. Illinois, an open division quarterfinalist last year, enters the tournament at 12-1-1. Southern Cal so far has had a great season, and the last time they were here had a good performance. They made the championship quarterfinals back in 2019. And Colorado State is a regular. They're in their 4th straight championship division tournament. Pool E begins with the Buckeyes of Ohio State, UC Davis, and James Madison. Ohio State was the 2014 champion. They also were a finalist in 2019, which was their last tournament appearance. They are a Region 3 co-champion this year. UC Davis made the quarterfinals last year on the championship side, and JMU has had great results on the open division side. They made the semifinals 3 times in the last decade. Pool F includes Minnesota, the A squad, William & Mary, and the Spartans of Michigan State. And in Pool F, Minnesota, a championship quarterfinalist last year. They're entering the tournament undefeated at 9-0-0. William & Mary is making its first appearance. They were the runner-up from this year's tournament in Region 2. And Michigan State, a championship quarterfinalist in 2017, 2018, and 2019. Finally, Pool G and Pool H. Pool G has UConn, Texas Tech, and the Gators of Florida. UConn is a Region 1 co-champion this year at 14-1-1 so far. Texas Tech is a fourth straight year they've been in the championship tournament. And Florida, a former national champion from back in 2018, they missed out last year, but they were last year in 2019. And in Pool H, the last three teams on the men's championship side are the Tigers of Clemson, Notre Dame, and Georgetown. Clemson 13-1-1 this season. Their only loss was in North Carolina in the Region 2 tournament just a couple of weeks ago. Notre Dame, a Region 3 co-champion, returns from last year, but Georgetown is making its first appearance here at the NIRSA National Championships. So let's take a look at all those pools once again from Pool A to Pool H. The top team is on the top line, and again, the top two teams out of pool play will advance to the championship tournament, with the last team moving into a separate consolation bracket. And we'll talk about how those brackets work coming up in just a bit. The playoffs begin on Friday. The championship for the men is on Saturday at 5 p.m. Central Time, and you can follow the coverage of the tournament at NIRSAplay.com or on social media at NIRSAChamp. One more break now as we go back down to Gainesville. Marty is there with some special guests. Marty?
Thanks, Dave. Well, there you have it, the 24 teams that will compete in this year's championship bracket on the men's side. 23 of them trying to take over from my guest here to knock them off as national champions. I'm here with fourth-year forward Eli Homestead from BYU, and a part of that national championship team for the last several years. Welcome, Eli.
Thanks, Marty. It's great to be here. I'm excited to talk some soccer.
Absolutely. So, Eli, as you just saw from your pools, you have an experienced team that you'll play against in pool play in Texas A&M. We're in the quarterfinals last year. Certainly no stranger to the tournament. 10 out of the last 11 years they have been in this tournament. But then you also have a newcomer in Rutgers making their first ever appearance at this tournament. So my question for you is, when you have a team that you've never seen before, you have no time to prepare for them, you don't know their style of play, what is the preparation steps that your team takes to get ready for that kind of an opponent?
Yeah, that's a great question, Marty. It's tough because when you get to a game, you want to go and play how your team plays. We like to possess. We want to find the guys we like. We want to be very comfortable. But with a new team, they could throw anything at us. They could have, certain players that could cause a lot of problems. So I think we have to be willing to be really flexible and change, how we play, which size we're focusing on, what kind of matchups we're looking for. And also consider that they're a team that's never played us. They might not know that we won last year. And so they're going to be, out for blood, just trying to win, treating us like any normal team. So we've got to be ready to play hard, but also adapt to how they're coming at us.
Yep. Well, whether it be the new teams like Rutgers that are making their first appearance or some of those more established teams that you've seen year in and year out, who are some of those competition that you think will present some pretty stiff challenges based on how they've played you in the past?
Yeah, Marty, Nationals is great because there's so many good teams. It's so fun. It's so competitive. So I've been around for a while. This will be my third tournament. And UNC is a team that I always keep an eye out for. We played in my freshman year, and then we were able to dodge them last year after they lost in the semifinals. But they're always pretty solid. They're a pretty good one out there. And along with that, I know Notre Dame is also in it this year. They were our first game last year. We ended a 0-0 tie that we were kind of frustrated about. So they're a team that we know is good. We'd love to get another chance at playing.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned, the teams that are trying to knock you off, this being your third tournament. All you've ever known is winning at this thing, man. BYU is such a rich tradition now, being the champs 3 out of the past 4 years. It has really been ingrained in the culture up there at BYU. How do you keep that edge, that hunger to keep coming back and doing it again and again amongst your squad?
Yeah, when you get to nationals, it's never easy to win. The 3 years we've won, it's been an absolute dogfight each time. And so I think it really comes down to how we train and how we practice every day. Because in our local and regional games, we get less stiff competition. We have some close games that we're usually able to win by more comfortable margins. So a lot of that, competition and pushing and, winning on the razor's edge comes down to practice. And we're playing 11v11s with ourselves, how we're working out, how we're training. We have to keep nationals and winning in mind, because every year is different. You have a different squad, different strengths and weaknesses. So even though we have consistency winning, we have to win differently each year. So we have to train really hard in practice and then apply what strengths we have that year.
Well, wishing you the best of luck as you travel out again to try to make it 4 championships in 5 years. Truly would be a dynasty within the NIRSA realm. Good luck to you, Eli, this year. And yeah, best of luck.
Perfect. Thanks for having me, Marty.
Absolutely. Dave, we'll kick it back to you where we have one final group to learn about. It's our men's open championship. So let's find out about our last 24 teams and where they will slot in to this year's NIRSA Soccer National Championships.
And we're down to the final 24 teams. It's the men's open division, which has 6 total pools, 4 teams in each. The top team out of each pool will advance to the open division playoffs. And we'll also have 2 wildcards that will join to make 8 teams that will battle for that title, which will occur on Saturday afternoon at 1 p.m. We got to get through pool play first, which begins on Thursday. And Pool A has Virginia Tech, Utah Valley, Kansas, and Miami of Ohio. Virginia Tech has been in 3 straight Open Division tournaments. They made the semifinals back in 2019. Utah Valley, 4th straight, including a semifinal appearance just last year. They made the final as well in 2018. And Kansas is back for their 4th straight Open Division tournament. Pool B includes Cincinnati, Cornell, Florida Gulf Coast, and Cal Berkeley. Cincinnati was in the quarterfinals of the championship division last year, so they're coming over to Open this year. Cornell made the quarterfinals of the Open division in 2019, and it's Florida Gulf Coast's first appearance at the NIRSA Championships. Welcome to FGCU. Pool C starts off with Colorado, the Black Squad, the Ducks of Oregon, Tigers of LSU, and the Quakers of Penn. LSU is in its 4th straight appearance. Penn is back for their 3rd in a row. Pool D has the B Squad from Texas, UCLA, the Boilermakers of Purdue, and Colorado College. Texas was an Open Division finalist back in 2017. UCLA made the Open Division quarterfinals last year and the final in 18 and 19. Purdue, an Open Division champion from 2019, and it's 4 straight years for Colorado College. Plenty of experience here in Pool D for Men's Open. Pool E starts off with Missouri. It also includes the Cyclones of Iowa State, the Minutemen of UMass, and the Rams of VCU. It is Missouri's return to the Open Division. They made the final just last year. And in Pool F, it's Cal Poly, Tampa, Babson College, and Minnesota, the B Squad. Cal Poly has been in the last 4, but on the championship side. So moving over this year to the Open Division. Minnesota was in the Open Division semifinals in 2018. And for Tampa and Babson College, it's their first appearance at the NIRSA National Championships. All right, let's take a look at those pools once again here on the Open Division side. 4 teams in each. The top seed is on the top line. We'll take the top performer, that is the pool champion, along with 2 wild cards into the tournament. The final, once again, is on Saturday at 1 p.m. Central. You can follow the coverage of this division and all of our divisions online at NIRSAplay.com and on social media at NIRSAChamp. All right, last time down to Gainesville, where Marty is joined once again by some special guests to talk about the tournament. Marty?
Thanks again, Dave. You've heard it now. All 4 divisions, that's the 96 teams that will compete for all of the different championships at this year's NIRSA Soccer Championships. I welcome back into the studio Max and Laura to help us break down the men's division. It's hard not to talk about the men's division without mentioning our powerhouse. They've won 3 of the last 4 years. It's BYU. But who is going to try to unseat them this year? Laura, I know you know a lot about Texas. You've seen them play a bit last year. They almost got there. They were runner-ups in 2021. What can you tell us about the Longhorns in this year's tournament?
Yeah, they did a really good job in Region 4 last year. They are a really well-coached team, and I think that's pretty rare in the club sports scene. But I think they have a chance to make it back to the finals this year. They also have a lot of experience just being in the national tournament. So really excited about them. The other team that I'm excited about is the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. They have won our Region 2 tournament the past 2 years. And they have quite a bit of experience in the tournament, and they were champs in 2015. But look for their captain. Their captain scored 10 goals in our regional tournament this year, which is quite a big number for one individual. So they are a goal scoring machine. So really excited to see Chapel Hill represented in the national tournament.
We'll see if that experience for UNC plays through, as Delaware and Weber State, the 2 teams that they'll go against in Pool C, were not in the tournament in 2021. On the other hand, Texas, which you had mentioned, Colorado and Wisconsin, they have a ton of experience in this tournament. Wisconsin being in the championship division every year for the past 6 years, and Colorado qualifying every year except for 2014 over the last decade. And they were champs way back in 2010 as well. Switching gears a little bit to bring Max in, talking about our Pool F. Really fascinating pool that you have there with Minnesota. They have been a goal scoring powerhouse, 17 goals in 1 game during the regional season. They've been there the last 6 years in the championship division, including quarterfinalists in 2021. Then you have Michigan State. They've been there 9 of the past 11 years, including 3 straight quarterfinal appearances from 17 to 19. So 2 teams certainly with no surprises will be thrown at them for this tournament. But then you have William and Mary, this Cinderella story, first ever appearance in qualifying for the championship division. Max, what can you tell us about William and Mary?
William and Mary are coming to this tournament out of Virginia, Region 2, and they're grouped with really 2 strong Big Ten teams. They played in 15 games this season. They're 10-4-1, so they've got some legs under them, and they're ready to make a push out of group play and become the talk of this year's tournament. And like you mentioned, a true Cinderella story, because sometimes fantasies are better than reality.
For sure, for sure. The Big Ten, they are well populated within the men's and women's division, over 5 teams in both championship brackets. So that, it will be tough to get through. And William and Mary, has 2 of them within just their pool. Again, switching gears over into Pool H, where we have another really fascinating pool, because a lot of teams with a lot of experience, but in this pool here, you got a lot of newcomers. So both Clemson and Georgetown making their first ever appearances in the tournament, and then their third is Notre Dame, which made their first appearance in 2021. So, Laura, can you talk to us a little bit about, what is it like? What do teams have to do to prepare when they're coming to this tournament for the first time?
Yeah, first it's just having confidence that you earned the right to be in the national tournament. But then, being able to handle being on such a big stage. So that's the first sign that we look for a team to be successful when it's their first appearance. But also, do you have the conditioning? The national tournament is a long tournament. It is quite a few games. The regional tournament gives you a small little bite-sized piece to kind of get you warmed up for it. But can you really last the 3-4 days that it takes, not only to get through pool play, but to make it all the way through bracket play as well?
Yeah, thinking about newcomer, I'm going to talk a little bit about Georgetown. As the Region 1 coordinator on the men's side of Region 1, I have the inside scoop on Georgetown. They played 5 games in 36 hours at the regional. At the Region 1 tournament, they swept their group play, defeating number 1 overall seeded Penn State University. Penn State entered at 10-0-0. Number 12 seeded Syracuse, who was at the national tournament last year, and number 24 seeded Cornell University, who's on the open side. The Hoyas are ready to play, and I'm excited to see this tournament's first timer in action.
I appreciate, Max, that you wanted to, protect the inside scoop that you had on Georgetown. He starts to go into it and just, puts himself on mute so everybody can't hear exactly what they're going to bring to the national tournament. So, speaking of newcomers, though, and what they bring, it's always fun to see those teams when they're coming for the first time in the open division as well. So we talked about some of the newcomers within the championship division, 4 newcomers in the open division amongst the 24 teams: Florida Gulf Coast, VCU, Tampa, and Babson, all coming for the first time to the NIRSA Soccer Championships. Laura and Max, I know you both have been there. This tournament means a lot to you all as well, that when November hits, we know it's getting close to one of the biggest tournaments of the year with 96 teams that are participating. What is your favorite part of being just a piece of the NIRSA Soccer Championships?
Marty, I think something that's really cool to see, they're student-run organizations. So seeing the weeks, months, and years of work all come together for them to compete on this great big stage. There's a lot of emotion. You're going to see smiles. You're going to see tears. They're going to be happy tears, sad tears. You're going to see fans, parents, aunts, uncles, grandma, grandpa, siblings, everything at this tournament. And it's so great as a staff member to see it all come into action. And see these teams show up and give it their all, because this might be their only shot.
I think also it's really cool because that these memories are going to last with them for a lifetime. So being a part of that and being an integral part of them beginning those experiences it's hard not to get chills to watch them celebrate those goals. So, as campus rep professionals, this is what we love. This is what we do for a living. But being able to see it done at a national level that has that championship feel, it is just so fun to be a part of. So we really love to see it.
Memories will be made and championships will be won in the open division this year. We're going to try and crown a new champion, our defending champion, not back in that pool for this year. And then James Madison, BYU, and Penn State will all try to repeat in their respective divisions amongst the men's and women's. For Max Miller and Laura Shively, I'm Marty Dempsey. We appreciate it. Have a lot of fun this year at the NIRSA Soccer Championships. We're going to send it back over to Dave for some last announcements. But here we are from the Gainesville studios signing off. Thank you all very much.
Thanks once again, Marty, and thanks to the players and analysts who joined us to get us ready for next week's championships in Round Rock. Well, now that you've seen the pool play lineup, let's talk a little bit about playoff qualification. I've mentioned I'm running the open division side. Each pool champion, so there's 6 of those, will be joined by 2 wild cards who will be determined by performance at the tournament to make an 8-team single elimination tournament for the open division championship. But it's different on the championship side. That is 2 teams per pool. In fact, let's take a look and you'll see how this will work. 2 teams out of each pool, the champion and the runner-up, will make it into this predetermined bracket. So you will see on the upper left side, for example, that in Pool A, the champion is there, and they will play the runner-up from Pool D. And then Pool H's champion will face off against the pool runner-up from Pool E, and so forth around the bracket. This will start on Friday. It all concludes on Saturday. The women's final is at 3 p.m. The men's final is at 5 p.m., and you can catch streaming coverage of both of those online. You will get more information about where to link to that on our social media at NIRSA Champ. Well, captains, let's also talk about some reminders that you're going to receive in an email as well from NIRSA headquarters. So if you haven't got that, please reach out, but you should have that by now. It includes a lot of tournament details, including information about the player certification form that you need to get filled out on campus, submit electronically, and then bring the original with you when you come out to Round Run. Also, information in that email about tournament gear. We'll have tees and hoodies on sale on site, along with concessions and exam proctoring. So if you have players on your team that have to take an exam while they're at the tournament, we have a way that they can accomplish that through and with the assistance of our staff. Check-in begins on Wednesday, November 16th, right there at the fields at the Round Rock Multipurpose Complex between 4 and 7 p.m. Central Time. Just one person needs to come over to check in, and if you're going to be late, maybe there's a travel delay or it's just not going to happen in that window, make sure you email us and you'll have that information again in that captain's email. There is no captain's meeting, but we will have our directors of competition on site to answer your questions there at check-in. Teams can have a 1-hour practice slot on Wednesday at the fields between 2 and 8 p.m., and there's a sign-up link in the captain's email, so you want to jump on that to get a time for your team if you'd like one. Matches get underway at 8 a.m. Central Time Thursday morning. The playoffs will start on Friday, and it continues on into Saturday. We'll have a soccer skills challenge as well this year on Friday and Saturday, so look for that while you're hanging around at the fields. There's also a spectator entry fee of $10 per day or $25 for the entire tournament. Players and coaches will receive free passes at check-in. And as I've mentioned over and over, you can follow all the tournament action online at nursaplay.com or on our website. That's where it'll be. On social media, it'll be at NIRSA Champ. Just look for that, and you'll be able to follow us on all the different platforms. Championships, 1 o'clock for the Open Division on Saturday for both men and the women. And then the Women's Championship Division, National Championship game, is at 3 p.m. The Men's Championship is at 5 o'clock to round out play at this year's big tournament. Thanks once again to Marty and all of our guests, along with production assistants from Ian Michael, along with Corey Granholm. That's it. Safe travels down to Texas, and good luck to all of our teams. I'm David Peters. We'll see you in Round Rock for the NIRSA National Soccer Championships. This is a production of NIRSA, Leaders in Collegiate Recreation.